have you guys out tonight. And thank you for coming and supporting Monika and Julie. It's going to be wonderful. Okay, Monika Burwise, the co-founder of Global Awakening Institute and Global Forum of Transformational Leaders. She is also an apprentice of Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The Four Agreements. Monika, along with her husband Graham, are dedicated to raising consciousness on the planet alongside other worldly renowned trailblazers. Their leading-edge workshops address 3 stages of being: conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, to bring people into an unconditional state where all the miracles originate. Speaker, author, and change agent, Monika is leading people on the journey of understanding of universal laws and principles in human dynamics. I bring you Monika Burwise.
Welcome everybody. It's nice to be here. That was a mouthful. Thank you very much. So I'll share with you how my journey originated. I was born with a gift, and I was trained as a mystic for many years, but I didn't want to embrace it, because who is a mystic nowadays, seriously, especially in Eastern Europe, that nobody speaks that language. So it was very embarrassing, and I wanted to really push that away, so I trained myself in business and everything else that looks good to the world. And what happens when we resist our calling? Anybody knows? So let's see.
We live in chaos. We live in struggle.
It was November 16, 1996, and I was traveling on a dark road in Niagara Falls. And the last thing that I remember, it was the light coming from the opposite side. And then, what I know now, the car was rolling 7 times over, hitting the ground each time. And I didn't have the seatbelt, by the way. So I practically died. That's what they call the near-death experience. Very interesting. And the things that I had a chance to experience at the time were absolutely life-transforming and really put me on the path. And when I heard the voice that that's what you are going to do when you are going to go back, I said, no, I'm not going back. I wanted to stay there, wherever there was. And but I was on a mission, and I was to finish that path here amongst people and to share what I have learned about the universal laws and dynamics, and simplify it for people so it's more applicable, because it's quite an intense teaching and learning. So not everyone is really at the level to understand it, or interested even in understanding some quantum computing or quantum physics. So that's what I do. I go there, I take all those ideas, and I kind of translate that into a more easy language. So one of the things that I was told that I will be doing is leading people into understanding of human dynamics and the relationships in the modern world, because it is the area that is probably the most challenging for people, because we didn't come here with the manual. There are 3 areas of life that people are really not liking to talk about, and this is money, sex, and relationships. And the reason why we don't like to talk about those things is because we don't know very much about it. So what we know about relationships is one big baloney. And let me just refer to how we are being conditioned from the early age. All the women especially can relate to it. We are growing up on watching the cartoons about Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and what's the other one? Snow White, that's right. So what happens in those cartoons? So yes, there's this beautiful girl, and there's a prince who is coming to save her, and then rescue her first, and then save her, rescue both, actually. And then they live happily ever after. So, what happens when we go into our adulthood and we start living those principles? And here's some prince showing up in our life, and he's not fitting that, picture that we had in our head. Never mind that forever ever after, happily ever after. So we develop many preconditioned ideas about the relationships, and I have 10 questions for you. We'll do a very quick game to see where we are, okay? It's a yes or no question. For every yes, you will raise your hand quickly, so we'll see where you are. And I'll test you on it at the end, okay? No, I won't. Okay, so let's start with it. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. True or false?
True.
I am nothing without you. Okay, who's not participating here? Because I read energy and I will be able to tune into you guys. So hey, you better participate. All right, thank you very much.
Yes.
I am nothing without you.
Yes.
Okay, next one. I need to be in a relationship. Oh, you're not fun to play with. Come on. Just say the truth. That's just how it is, okay? I will be lonely if I'm not in a relationship. Yeah, you are just playing goody-goody stuff. Opposites attract. How many hands up? Opposites attract. Everybody is a little shy, whatever. My soulmate will complete me.
Oh my God. What are you showing right now?
Whatever. Play here, nice. With the right partner, the relationships will last forever.
We have a very enlightened crowd.
Relationships require sacrifice.
Yes. Yes.
Finally, somebody is just cooperating here. Sex is only great at the beginning. How about that? Oh! Now they woke up. So maybe I was wrong after all. People do like talk about sex. And it is my partner's responsibility to make me happy. And they have, okay, so when dating, we say that often. He has the potential, I can fix or change him. All right. Okay, you're a smart crowd, so all of those things actually are illusions that we created in our head, or we were actually conditioned to believe. So what is the primary purpose of relationships then? Yes, Catherine, what is it? Participating. Learn lessons. So the primary reason for our relationships is to grow and develop, to grow and to go through the evolution, as it is life. The only purpose of life is for us to evolve and grow. The same for relationships. Relationships, our partner is here for us to push all the buttons for us, so we can find out where we are disempowered, in which area we are disempowered. And the reason why we take it so harshly, it is because that's their purpose. So when I ask people, do you want to find a soulmate? Most of the time people are like, yes, I want to find a soulmate. I go, are you really? Because actually the soulmate is going to be the one who pushes your buttons the most. And who will actually put you on the path of growth so much faster. And will take care of it. And that's the relationship that I have with my honey. And I'll tell you a little bit about that because it's a very interesting story. So about 3 years ago, I was in a relationship with someone. And as many of you, I'm sure, can relate, I thought that is it, but I broke up 10 times. And I still thought maybe it is it. But at some point, of course, I understood, that I'm fooling myself. And And I had a very interesting experience. So what happened is, after the 10th time, I finally got into a space of realization. And I realized that I don't need to be in a relationship to be happy, fulfilled, whole, and all that other stuff. And I was driving one day and I had this conversation with God. I call him God or it God. And I said, you know what, whatever, and I was approaching 40, so the pressure was on. And I said, no matter what's going to happen, I'm going to be happy regardless. I do not need anybody in my life for me to have fun and be happy and fulfilled and all that stuff. And that is really my purpose. I wanna have fun, and I'm not going to carry anybody's baggage. So 2 days later, there was a man on the Facebook contacting me, and I usually post a lot of stuff about consciousness and personal development and growth. So he commented on one of my posts. And it was so deep that it automatically took me to that place where I knew that I knew that place, and I understood that he connected with me on the deeper, in the deeper space. 2 weeks later, we were already in a relationship on a Facebook, because what I didn't tell you is that he was in South Africa and I was here in Toronto. And here we are in a relationship. My ex actually calls and he goes, I knew you were cheating on me. So how lovely. It's because it was beyond comprehension of how can you form a relationship with somebody who is exactly on the opposite side of the globe. 2 months later, we were planning the wedding, and 4 months later, I flew to South Africa with my wedding dress, and we got married 4 days after we physically met. 4 days. Oh. 4 days after we physically met. So let me give you a picture. I landed in Africa, and there's my husband picking me up, the husband that I've never seen in my life. So the first words that I said to him when I seen him, I go, give me a coffee and a cigarette, thank you. And then we were sitting for an hour in front of the airport just talking about stuff. But why I'm sharing that story is because all the conditions that preconditioned beliefs that we learn about relationships, how relationships should be, should form, should this, should that, we should date for about a year, 2 or 3, get engaged, and then the marriage is whatever. And what we did everything in reverse. First so normally what happens is people are connecting on the level of physicality, how we are scanning our partner that we are going to meet, that we are meeting. We look how he looks, or she, yes, how he looks, acts, smells, the background, the family, the education, maybe whether it's funny or not.
The most important thing, the money.
And the money, of course, the most important thing. And the money, how much money does he or she have, and what they do, the career. And really, that's how we pick up our partner in life. I know it is very sad, but that is very corresponding to the rate of divorces. Over 50% of divorces is because people really don't know how to connect on the deeper level. And I think everybody is so hungry nowadays to connect on the deeper level. Because we do have a deep, deep understanding somewhere deep inside that we can have that. And that it does exist. And that's for all my life, that was my main motto, that it does exist. And I want to find that place and that partner with whom I will be able to share the space. So what happens in the relationships when, hello Ron, nice to see you. So what happens when we get into, when we find a partner at the beginning? We call it love. So it's so difficult to call it otherwise. But what it really is, I'll show you how the universal principles of emotions work. I don't have anything bigger, but I scrabbled a little bit like this. So you can imagine the horizontal and vertical line, yes? And there is that wave going up and down, the blue one. Look at the blue one. So the blue one here has a plus and here's a minus. Here's the high state, emotional high, and here's the emotional low. And in the relationships, the way it works when we meet somebody is we get infatuated with a person. So what happens is, in the stage of infatuation, we are only checking or scanning or acknowledging the traits of the person that are positive, that we label positive. And what happens with all the negatives about that person, we store it in our subconscious mind. And that's where that is. And what happens after a while, and it can be months, it can be even years, what happens is that those negative traits that are being stored in the subconscious mind, they are causing resentment. That resentment builds over time, and at some point we don't even realize why we hate that partner. And the reason is, really, we don't. We have no idea what changed for us. We think the circumstances changed, that we changed, that suddenly he's not the one. No, we didn't realize that we were building that resentment from the day one because we were not willing to acknowledge all the traits. And the way human dynamics works, all of us, we all have all the traits that exist. There is no person that doesn't have those traits. So we just disown it. The reason why people do not feel whole and complete most of the time, it is not because something is missing from their life, but because they disown the traits in themselves. And some people call it, they develop the shadow side, but it's really a disowning a part of themselves. So for example, let me give you an example. You meet a person who has a certain trait, and you don't like that person. Why? It is because that person is activating that trait in yourself that you so resent in yourself, and they're just bringing that to the surface. And the same, when we get infatuated with people, what happens is that we think that they have something that we don't have. So we get infatuated. We think that they are, the idols and all that stuff. So we are disowning those parts in ourselves that we don't have it. So that happens a lot in the relationship, especially at the beginning when we get infatuated on somebody, is that, at some point we will get resentful. So, what I also wanted to say is that picture also represents our emotional state. We develop the emotional highs in life. We get excited about things, and then what happens? We develop the lows. And I'm sure you were able to notice in your life that you go up and you go down, and you go up and you go down, and you don't know what the heck is going on, and you don't know even how to relate to it. So what happens is that line represents the universal harmony. That's where your intuition is. That's where your connection with the source really is. So every time you go up, you actually get yourself out of the place of source. And every time you go down, you cross that line right here. And that's when human growth actually starts. And then you go down again. And when you go up, you again cross the line. And that's again when the growth happens. So the idea in life is not to get too high or too low, because then the growth process is really, really slow, and we are usually unable to connect those highs with the lows, but they have to happen. The moment there is a high, there will be a low, because the universe is in a constant balance. The universe cannot be out of balance. Every time there's as much opportunity as there is a challenge in life. There is no other way. So many people actually say, I have a challenging life, there's so many challenging happening to me. But because they developed the perception that they are looking only at those negative stuff, they are unwilling and unready to see the positive that is happening in their life, and therefore the support that they are getting exactly at the same time. So the key is to look at the red line, and the red line doesn't have highs and lows. And what happens, it crosses the line so many more times. And that's how you grow much faster. And you are more centered, you are more in peace, in harmony. And And the same happens, you can apply that scheme actually to relationships or to any life situations. And how to, a very important thing is to remember about relationships is that you are capable of loving somebody only to the level that you love yourself. Okay? And you are being loved also by somebody to the level that you love yourself. There is no other way. And the way it works is it all relates to our self-worth. We are able to attract into our life only to the level that we feel we are worthy and nothing else. So sometimes you can work your body, you can attend many workshops and seminars, and nothing changes. You can read 10 books, 20, you go on and on and on, and you see many speakers, and I'm sure there are few of you here who did that path. I was there at some point as well. But it has to do with your self-worth. So when we work with people, number one thing that we focus on is the self-worth, because from that everything else originates. Let me give you a story. There were two guys sitting on the porch, and one of the guys brought his dog and was lying. The dog was actually crying, and the other guy is saying, "Okay, so why is your dog crying?" He goes, "Because he's lying on a big nail that is sticking out of the porch." So why is he not moving? Because it doesn't hurt him enough. So the same goes with abuse. We are only able to attract a level of abuse to the level that we abuse ourselves. That's very important. So one of the exercises that I can give you that is very simple, that I can just come up quickly, is to raise your self-worth, is to make a list of your failures or mistakes, or however you want to call it, or those negative traits, for example. And right beside, you are going to write how this negative trait in you benefit you, and how this negative trait in you benefits others. And you are going to come up with the list as long as you possibly can, and we are talking 50 or 100. And I tell you the reason why. It's the way our brain works. Even when we developed those preconditioned idea about ourselves, it had to be by repetition. So at some point, our mind, our brain got convinced that this is so. So right now, in order, the way the brain works, you will have to give it enough reasons for it to believe that, and kind of override what you believed so far. So at some point, when you start doing the list of how is the, let's say, negative trait is a benefit to you and others, and you come up with 100 reasons, there is a particular time and something happens, and actually you get shifted. So if you can do that exercise, this is a really good exercise. And I have another exercise for people who are dating. If you are going on a date, make a list of your date's positive traits and negative traits at the same time. And try to look at him as a full, complete human being with all the traits. Because surely he can show or she can show you the good stuff, because they will want to present themselves well, but they will also have those negative traits that we are all capable of, all of us. And just a quick example, just to make you understand. If the mother's child is going to get threatened, she is going to kill. She's going to be able to kill. So we are all capable of all those things. We are just not willing to admit that. And that's what really causes people to lose their wholeness. And so you are going to make a list of your date's positive traits and negative traits. And you are going to see them as a whole picture. You are not going to get infatuated with them. You are just going to see them for who they are, whole and complete. And therefore, you are not going to develop resentment. And if you are already in a relationship, then, and let's say that the relationship is going through some challenges. So how can you change that? You take all the negative traits of your partner and you do the list that I was previously talking about. You are going to make a list of how those negative traits in him benefit you. And you are going to come up with as many as you possibly can. And you are going to see that actually those negative traits are here for you to grow and expand. With Graham, we are at the level that we do understand that we are soulmates and we do push our buttons really hard, but we do it with a huge awareness. We know exactly what we are doing, and we do it with utmost love and respect, because we do want to play a big role in each other's lives for us to grow and expand. So, there is one thing that comes to my mind that I want to share. What happens when we form relationships? It's just for your information that there is so much more behind the scenes that's happening than just we get sexually aroused and interested, and somebody makes us laugh, and there is a, so to speak, good future with them. So behind the scenes, what happens is when two people get together and they are equally involved. Let's just remember, we are all energy. We are the essence of the energy. So when two people actually meet, it's not the bodies that meet, it's underneath it all, beyond it. It's our essence that meet. And when they are both fully involved, there's a third vortex that is actually opening up, that has such tremendous power of creation, that I'll tell you what it is capable of doing. When I met Graham, right from the start, for those 4 months that I actually, before I went to Africa to meet him, I was pretty high. I was like high like a kite, and it was a state of being that I've never actually experienced before. In that state, both of us were able to pass by space and time, and we had evidence to it. It was just the most amazing stuff were happening. We were able to even hear our own voices from the opposite sides of the globe through mouths of other people, just to give you an example of how that works and what is possible. And so when we finally met, for the first 4 days when we met, because people are asking, okay, so what happened when you finally met? For the 4 days, it was okay because we were kind of preparing the wedding that was happening in 4 days, so we were really distracted. But after the wedding happened, we had the time to relax, and actually it felt like a nervous breakdown. And I was crying and laughing at the same time, and I had no idea what the heck is happening. I really thought I lost it, but I do understand what was the quality. It was so powerful. So that's what really unconditional love is all about. And that's what we are capable of behind the scenes, behind our bodies, behind our lives that we are leading, going to work, making the money. There's so much more happening. And it is our duty to actually discover in this life what that is for each of you. I hope you liked it, and thank you very much for listening.